Let's have a quick chat about a few areas that you need to understand. First of all, your cash gap. So the cash gap is the difference between the amount of money you have coming in compared to the amount going out. And your cash gap typically is a gap between when you've paid for stuff and when you're being paid for it. So for example, you might have to pay your team, you might have to pay for products, and then you don't get paid from your customer for 60 days. Okay. That's going to create a gap in cash. Okay. It's called your cash gap. As your business grows, that becomes a bigger problem. Okay. Because you're paying out more to buy the products or to pay your team or to pay contractors, and you're waiting for that money to come in. So that's your cash gap. You have to understand how to manage that cash gap and either reduce it or fund it somehow. Otherwise, as you grow, you'll end up running out of cash. Okay, so cash flow forecast is important. So you really need to understand your cash gap. The next one is your break-even point. Now, your break-even point, does anyone know what your break-even point is? You can see it's left off the end of the sentence there. Your break-even point is the point where you what? Somebody fill that in for me in the chat box. Let's see if you can get that right whilst I have a drink of H2O. Now, remember, this is the foundations. We just step one of this blueprint, the business acceleration blueprint. We are working on the foundations right here. What is your break-even point? What's the definition of that, do you think? All right. So Rika says, cover all expenses and payroll, no profits. Cover your costs, says Jerome. Cost match your income. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to give you my definition of that point. It's the point where you start to make profit. I don't care about covering costs. I want to make sure I know when I start making money. Okay, so this is an important point to know in your business, and we have a tool that we use with all of our members, and this tool allows them not just to see what their break-even point is, but also what do they need to do to reach that? How many units do they need to sell? How many hours do they need to bill? And you really need to understand those numbers, right? So when you think about understanding the numbers in your business and having control, this is one thing on your dashboard that you should be looking at every single month or every quarter. Now, the reason why you got to look at it regularly is it changes. As soon as you increase your expenses, your break-even point changes. As soon as you change your margins, your gross profit margin, your break-even changes. So you really need to be able to monitor this on at least a quarterly basis. But if things are changing, you need to check it even more frequently. Okay. And it's a very, very simple thing to work out. But so many people miss out on actually working this out. And it is the point where you make money. Now, I remember when I asked you why you went into business in the first place, it wouldn't matter what you answered with. All of those answers I could tie back to making profit. Even I've had people that have not-for-profit organizations go, oh, but we're not for profit. I said, yes, but you still need to make a profit to pay for stuff to give away, whatever the purpose is, right? So a business has to know at what point it starts making money. Has to know. It's not, it would be nice if you know, it's a non-negotiable. You have to know this point, okay? So if you don't know that point, put it on your to-do list to work this out. You're going to need to work this out. The next one is the cash flow forecast. Now, I've banged on a bit about this, but I just want to say that you've got to aim for positive cash flow. I see way too many people that don't use this. And I mentioned before, you know, if you were driving along in your car and the dashboard stopped working, let's face it, on that dashboard, even though there was about 5 gauges, there's only 2 that you look at on a regular basis. One is your fuel gauge and the other is your speedometer. And if we think about that in relative terms to a business, your fuel gauge is like cash, okay? Your speedometer is like profit and loss. Okay, that's what you're looking at, is how fast am I going, or how fast am I going to get there, and do I have the fuel to get there? So in your business, you need to have a cash flow forecast. Now, a lot of people overcomplicate cash flow forecasts, and they try and do a cash flow forecast in accounting software, and that is a mistake. And I'll tell you why. As good as these programs are, you've got your your Xero, your Quicken, your MYOB, whatever it is. All of those software are great for keeping track of everything and reporting your BAS and all the compliance, but they're not great for cash flow forecasting. And the reason is they don't show you enough data easily for you to be able to make good business decisions. What you need is something that gives you the entire picture for the next 90 days. And this is what it looks like, okay? This is a 90-day cash flow summary. Now, this is a tool that we give all of our members. And can't remember if this is in the bonus pack at the end or not. David might be able to confirm. But this is a tool that we give all our members. It is a cash flow forecasting tool. And this allows you to be able to put in all the cash that's coming in, all the cash that's going out, and create this graph for you. Now, you can see this particular example here. This business, when it gets to the 4th of March, is running into a small cash flow problem. But it's not a big deal over the whole quarter because you can see it goes straight back into positive cash flow. By having this in front of you as a business owner, it allows you to make better business decisions. The other thing you can do with this that you can't do with accounting software is you can simulate stuff. Okay, you can, someone can come to you and say, you need to invest in this, or can we buy some new equipment, or can we invest in this marketing strategy? Can we hire another team member? You can actually put that expense into this forecast and simulate what would happen to your cash flow if you did that. Now, of course, if it was a marketing strategy or a salesperson you're hiring, you'd have to also offset the cash in with the cash out because they should be bringing sales in, but it might not happen instantly, right? But you can simulate what will happen in your cash flow by investing in different things. Okay, this is very, very powerful. Now, this, by the way, is built in an Excel spreadsheet. David, who you met much earlier, he is a guru when it comes to building systems for our members, and he's built so many of these great tools, amazing tools that I couldn't even think about building. He does it in his sleep. And this tool doesn't just have this graph, has other parts to it to help you to drive your business and understand, what the trends are and how to make sure you're maximizing your cash flow. So, very important that you have a cash flow forecast and that you have your finger on the pulse. Otherwise, you will run out of money. And it's like running out of fuel. Everything will just stop. It's that simple. And when you look at just go and look at the amount of wind-up notices. You can go to the ASIC website, and every day there is wind-up notices, and businesses are going into administration and into liquidation. And if you look at those wind-up notices, I can guarantee you that 80% of them would be from the ATO, the tax office. That's the Australian tax office for those of you outside of Australia. And the reason the ATO is quite often the one that does it is because the ATO is also a fantastic bank that does not ask for an application. They are quite guilty of letting businesses run up pretty big debt when it comes to not paying things like your tax, your BAS requirements or your superannuation, whatever, right? So you need to keep on top of this, and your cash flow is the way that you're going to do that. You need a forecast. The next area of financial foundation is your budget. Now, I've spoken about this a fair bit. If you don't look at your profit and loss statement on a regular basis, then you are missing out on making better decisions, and you're missing out on making better money. The reason I say that is because your whole outcome that is got to be that needs to be driven from whatever it is that you do in your business is to make a profit. Okay, your business has to make a profit. Do not feel bad about making money. I see a lot of people that are challenged by it. Your business needs to be profitable. Now, I don't know if you have shares or if you have superannuation, but most of those would be invested in companies, and those companies will only give you more money into your super fund or into your shares if they make profit. Okay, that's how it works. And your business is no different. You have shares in your business. You might be the only shareholder, but it will not give you dividends if it does not make profit. So it's very important that you put a budget together, and that budget is not driven around expenses. It is driven about how much money it is going to make you as the owner. So you decide on how much you need to make, and then you work out the rest. Then you work out what your sales need to be. Then you work out how much it's going to cost to get those sales. But you have to budget for profit. You need to put one of those together. Or